Hi, today we'd like to show you how to make a knitted on ruffle on, say, a blanket, or maybe the top of a bag, or some other thing that needs a little ruffle here. So this is something that we got off of Ravelry, so we'll give all the credit to, not sure how you pronounce it, but it's Sleason, maybe? Well, we'll figure that out later. So basically what she tells us to do here is to cast on 10 stitches, and we used our handy dandy cast on rag here, and then she tells us to do some short rowing in here because this was the corner. We did several short rows, and then she tells us to put a straight section in between of the short row sections. So there's roughly 6 rows of straight with some short rowing here, 6 rows of straight, and some short rowing here. Now, one thing I'll warn you about is that depending on the thickness of your yarn and possibly the yarn content, you may need to play with this a little bit to figure out, do you really want 6 rows of straight in between of the short rowed ruffle here? She had originally suggested short rowing with 2 needles, and we're going to show you that how to do it with 1 needle, but depending on, if you have fine yarn, you may want to do it with 2 needles. If you have a thicker worsted weight yarn like what we're using here, maybe 1 needle is enough. So just to orient you here, we've got our green representing the square blanket. This here is our little ruffle that you can see. If it's flattened out, it does look like a cute little ruffle. And we're almost here at the corner, so you'll get to see the corner and then a little bit beyond that. So let me rearrange a little bit, and then we'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, we're back, and we're ready to start short rowing here. Now, because we want to do the sew as you go method, we've got the green blanket, and we want the purple ruffle to be attached. So we're going to get a stitch from the green blanket and put it on the needle. For the short rowed sections, you will have all of the purple short rowing attached to only 1 stitch on the green blanket. So here we're going to put this needle out into hold, and it will get knitted at the very end. But let's look over here really quick at the carriage, and you'll see that we've got our carriage set to hold position in both directions. So on a silver reed, this means that when the needle is in D position, it will not be knit and it will not be pushed back to B. So just want to show you that. We'll move back to our knitting. Remember that we've got 10 needles here that are cast on, and we're about to knit our first row. And you'll notice that here, this first needle that's in hold position did not knit at all. So here we're doing the ruffle with 1 needle of short rowing. So we're going to pull the second needle out into hold position and knit again. And just repeat that. Now, some people like to wrap the yarn here around the previous needle that's in hold. The reason people like to do that is because it reduces the holes that will form at the short rowing. Now, some people think that the holes are decorative. Personally, we don't think they're very decorative at all, but it takes a little bit of extra time to wrap that needle So for a fine garment, yeah, we're going to take the time to wrap the needle. But for something like this on a worsted weight yarn, the holes are not very visible, so we're just not going to take the trouble. Now, when we get to this point, that's where we're done on this side. And we're just going to push these needles carefully back to be positioned. And when we say carefully, it's just so that the loops don't fall off. And you will notice the magic here. We've now knitted these rows. And here we probably should have moved the weight up a little bit to help that out. So that's the short rowing, and at this point we're very close to the corner. We're probably going to go ahead and do some non-short rowed rows. So here we're going to put the blanket on there and knit, and again pick up another blanket stitch here. And knit. Now again we're going to try to turn this corner using some short rows. And this is probably where I think we should try to do 3 sets of short rows to try to turn that corner really nicely. Okay, and we're ready again, but what we're going to do really is effectively put the same stitch on because we don't want this to travel. We want to have 3 sets in that corner. Okay, now we're going to do the third one. And there we have our corner. Now we're going to go back to doing the 6 straight rows. So we're going to pick up again. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we're going to go and repeat that short rowed pattern. And that's it. If you keep repeating all of those rows, you're going to get a very cute little ruffle. And we'll try to turn it around here so we can show you again. See, this is the corner that we just did. The little 3 short rowed corner here. And the ruffle. And you can see that, you know, depending on how many little short rowed sections you have, will determine how much ruffling occurs. If you wanted a wider ruffle, you would cast on more stitches. Or if you wanted a less full ruffle, that's where instead of putting one needle out into hold, you could put two needles out into hold, and you'd get a more gentle sort of ruffle. And you see here, if you look very carefully, there are little holes here where we did the needle holding. But on a worsted weight yarn like this, it really closes up pretty well, and it's not unattractive, and like I said, some people find it quite decorative. So it would be up to you whether you really wanted to wrap the needle or not to prevent these little holes. For a project like this, even with a baby blanket for a gift, I probably would leave it like this, and it's perfectly fine. So I think the other interesting thing is how nice this edge is here on the Sew As You Go. It turned out pretty nice. So there you have it, how to make a short road ruffle on a baby blanket.